lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with a few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Good evening, everybody. It is 8 o'clock. It is Monday night. It is January 6th, 2025. We are now in 2025. We rode our jetpacks and our hover cars here. My teleporter was down, but, you know, it is the future. The future is 2025. Like, this is the date that science fiction...
now, old man.
It is. It really is. Music is a weapon. Like, this is the year that everything changed in science fiction.
Wasn't the year in that game like 1998?
Probably,
It was like,
yeah.
it's 1998.
It's
It's
98.
the future.
Things are crazy.
Music
Is a weapon. But anyway, we're here. This is the Drive-In Speaker Box. I am your host, Bo, the boom operator.
I'm Slake Doggy the Grip.
And one of our Twitch viewers just sat and redeemed on our Twitch stream that I need to, on a 7-day stream streak, by the way. Thanks, Merle. But redeemed, Bo takes a sip. So I'm gonna do a sip of this extra smooth cognac here for Merle.
Did you swap these?
Okay.
Okay.
I've just been drinking more of mine. But yeah, we are here in the studio. This is the Drive-In Speaker Box podcast. If you are just now tuning in, if you're watching us live, thank you. We do this live every Monday night. You can find us on Facebook. We can find us on Twitch or YouTube. We've actually been up here for the past half hour on Twitch. We do a pre-show where we've been talking about all kinds of weird stuff. Like, we went on a weird spiral about wrestling earlier because I guess tonight is the night that Netflix is doing their wrestling debut.
Yeah, Monday Night Raw on Netflix.
Yeah, it's
No longer on USA.
It's no longer Raw. It's overcooked at this point, right? I mean, it's Monday night, medium well.
Well, no, man. Raw is war.
Well, so is it like a onomatopoeia or
Yeah, I mean, it's
or a palindrome?
Yeah.
Gotcha. But anyway, we're here to talk about movies. We both went and saw movies this week. That's what we're going to do. You can follow along at home. You can get in the chat, or you can just download this podcast wherever it is you download podcasts and listen to our reviews later. But tonight, I'm going to review the new film with everybody's favorite AMC intro voice, but Baby Girl. And then what did you see?
I finally got to see The Return.
Heck yeah.
Despite the fact that...
Where did you see it? Is it playing here?
Amazon.
Oh,
I know.
Poopies.
We had it here. Remember, we had it here at one theater, and they did one showing over the course of a weekend, and it was gone. So we did not have the opportunity to see it in the theater. I wish I would have after watching it at home. But yeah, it's on Prime, where you can rent or buy it.
All right. Well, you got it. You've been eagerly awaiting this one.
Yes.
And so we're going to be talking about those in the next part of the show. The next part of the show, well, not the next part of the show, the middle part of the show. The next part of the show is where we talk about the news, because it's been a week. You know, it's cold, it's frigid. I got my beanie on, I got my sweater on. He's got a hoodie on. We're just like, it's cold. And some stuff happened other than the weather. Not much, because there wasn't a lot of good new movies. But the Golden Globes happened.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, awards. You know how much we love those. Awards are just pre-Oscars, but there was some good highlights. You know, I saw the acceptance speech that Demi Moore gave for The Substance. Fantastic speech. Very cool that she got nominated and won in that movie. That movie's really great. If you haven't seen it, I think you would really like it. Because
Oh yeah, no, it's one that I want to watch. For sure.
It's a good one. I think you know, I know that you don't like horror movies, but you will dive into the body horror category, and
yeah, I mean,
it's good. It's very
I like
good.
Cronenberg movies,
and it's very Cronenberg-esque.
I I've watched a synopsis of the movie, like a recap thing. But it's definitely something that I want to sit and watch the entirety of. I've seen that it's available to watch at home as well. I just haven't had the time where I can sit and watch and not be disturbed, because that's a movie that I definitely want to be like.
You want to focus in on that one,
yeah.
But that one was, Golden Globes happened, and other stuff happened in the news. Did you know that Sonic just officially became $1 billion franchise?
That's awesome.
Ghostbusters still isn't yet.
Well,
Isn't that crazy?
Sonic's had 3 good movies, and Ghostbusters has had 1.5. Right? Like,
True.
Original Ghostbusters is fantastic. A lot of 2 is, but it's just a rehash. And then every other Ghostbusters movie is garbage.
Pretty much.
So, yeah, I mean, Sonic's had 3 solid movies, and
Just bangers, man.
yeah, when Ghostbusters' second best attempt is just a repeat of the first.
With slime.
Yeah, with
Vigo!
anger reacting slime, and
He's
Vigo. Vigo the Carpathian.
You know what's funny is, like, everybody gives the scene in Ghostbusters, the original one, the Dan Aykroyd, like, ghost BJ scene. They're like, oh my god, I can't even believe that they put this. Like, why would anybody ever even think about getting your penis sucked by a ghost in a movie? Shame on you, Dan Aykroyd. Meanwhile, in Ghostbusters 2, they have the emotional reactive slime, and they go up there and he's like, you haven't had sex with the slime, have you, Egon? And he goes like, yeah, for science. And so it's like, okay, well, we just had in Ghostbusters 1, Ghost Fellatio, and Ghostbusters 2, American Pie, Dick Slime.
But the story of, like, Dan Aykroyd being like, this has to be in this movie. It has to. I'm walking out if it's not in the movie, is ridiculous.
Beelzebub Ding Dong asked me to show some respect to the Dragon Slayer. I mean, but how can he respect himself when he dresses up in a nursemaid and pushes a baby cart out into the skies of New York? He was the actor that was Vigo.
Oh, yeah. He was in Ally McBeal and all that.
He was that guy. Velvet Santa on Twitch says we have all experimented with Nickelodeon gag. I don't know about
questions. Questions that don't need answers right now.
What about, or like the fart putty in the thing, and it's like your mom comes up to, I guess, Velvet Santa's door, and it's like, what are you doing in there? I just had Taco Bell, Mom, leave me alone.
Vigo!
It's Vigo!
Yeah. You know what? Something that's not disgusting, real quick. In some
boring
in some news here, we got our first look at DCU's new Batman, but only a silhouette, because James Gunn did not want it committed to it. What was that? Go down one. That's all dude from that movie that we watched. Sorry. That's how our brains work.
You're getting distracted.
Yeah, no, but we got to look at DCU's James Gunn's new Batman. And I read where they asked James Gunn about it. He said that originally you got to see Batman. You got to full-on see Batman. However, he had it cut down to only a glimpse and only like an outline, because he's not set on the costume yet. But
you gotta call up our boy, our homie.
Now, who?
Joel Schumacher, and be like, bigger
Where the
cod pieces,
put
bigger
the nipples on there.
bigger, firmer ass cheeks.
Now, the thing about that is I feel like that's stupid, because Batman famously has many, many, many costumes, especially when it comes to the action figures. And some of those become so popular that they end up drawn in some capacity or whatever. But in the last Creature Commandos episode, we got a look at Batman. So he's there. He's officially part of DCU, as well as our Lobo. Of course,
we had a sneak peek at Lobo?
Well, it was announced. We had Jason Momoa there.
We talked about that last week.
Well, but now he's out there and he's reading portions of the script of Supergirl while smoking a cigar on his Twitter. So Jason
And that's
Momoa
I mean,
is launching himself fully into Lobo and putting it public
you know
at
what?
the moment.
It
So
pisses me off that I like Jason Momoa so much because, like on paper, objectively, like I think Jason Momoa, I should hate him, but subjectively, I think he's like one of the cool. I want to hang out with. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you want to be like, dude, this super Republican jerk off that like cheated on his wife.
No,
but then you're also like, I want to go ride around in tanks with this dude and hang out and smoke a cigar. I will smoke a cigar with Jason Momoa and Arnold Schwarzenegger. They seem like the coolest homies.
just in defense of Schwarzenegger, real quick though, while he might be politically affiliated, he's not like super right wing, and he calls out people on doing things that are stupid and wrong.
Dude, I love Arnold. I absolutely like.
Also, I
Arnold
want-
for president.
I wanna-
I want Arnold to roll up into the White House and back break over his knee, the orange one, and just be like, "This is my country now. We're gonna do it my way. Get in our chopper. We're going to a better economy." And the governor, now the president, and just go for it. I am ready for that.
I want to win.
We're
one
gonna
of those,
terminate taxes. We're gonna terminate the deficit. Follow me.
I want to win one of those contests where you get to go to Arnold's house and ride in a tank with him and throw
yes.
grenades and stuff like that.
I just want to eat pancakes with Arnold. You know, I just want to I want him to call me a pussy in the gym and be like, "You're not working out hard enough. Look at your noodle arms, you little weakling. Oh, you're just not taking care of your body. You got to do more jump rope." And
Well, yeah, man, it would be great to hang out with Arnie. Thought Arnold did a bunch of sketchy stuff to women. No, would be glad to hear otherwise. I've never heard that. I heard that when he pumps, it feels better than coming. And he smokes weed, and it feels so good. There's all that stuff.
I mean, so actually, Night Owl. So this brings up a really interesting comment because there's not a whole lot of news, and this is well, yeah, you got a couple of things. I see some scribbles on there about Wild Robot, but you know, it's weird, and it falls into that category of separating art from artists, right? It's like we can have an image in our mind of this hero that we love and believe in. That's the Terminator. That's Conan. That's John Matrix from Commando. That's Kindergarten Cop. That's the guy from Last Action Hero. That's, you know, all these things. But there is the human element of people fuck up and make mistakes and are humans. And when we pull a microscope over every human action that a person makes, which is kind of what it's like to be a celebrity, it's like, you know, have you ever accidentally said something rude to a person? Have you ever accidentally done something wrong? Have you ever done something that was appropriate at the time that you look back and you go, I mean, I know when I was a kid growing up in the 90s, the amount of times I threw around the word fag was crazy, right? I mean, everything was gay and everybody was a fag in the 90s. Like, I mean, it's true. It's true. I mean, we can't sit
I'm
here.
I'm laughing because
We can't sit here and go, nah, man, not me. No, we all called everything gay in the 90s. That's just what it was.
Well, that's been brought back, man. Kids are doing that now because it's like, okay, I guess, because everyone's cool with whatever. Anyhow, I don't want to get involved in all that.
My point is like, you know, times and acceptance for change. Movie Albert asks on Twitter or Twitch, he said that's not on. It takes 5.5 hours to warm up. I didn't get here that early, so
Plus, it's so cold.
Yeah. But so my point is like Arnold at the time, he was a barely English speaking, like fresh off the boat, like basically like twins. He rode over by himself and then like hit the ocean, was like, I'm going to make a career. And then he couldn't speak English, and he was like, what, in Hercules in New York, couldn't speak English. And then he's like Mr. Olympic God or whatever.
Mr. Universe.
And people are throwing themselves at him. There's no telling what the Beatles did or what Elvis did or what all these people did, because people, like, oh my God, social media wasn't a thing. So we don't even know. So it's really easy to editorialize what these people did and didn't do in our minds because we love them. But they're also all human. So to me personally, I think I always have to kind of have this weird acceptance of these people that are at the absolute mega top are probably shitty or have made shitty decisions under pressure, because when you hit like godlike status and you have no repercussions, or you think you have no repercussions, and people are like going, you want this, you want this, you want this, you want this, and you're like, oh, whatever, dude, I don't know, I'm drunk on everything. And so then, I think, Arnold, maybe he did some shit that sucked when he was younger, but like he was also a kid, basically. He was like a 20-year-old mega Adonis, like in movies, being like, I can't speak English, but everybody wants to do me, and I don't know. So it's weird. It's so fucking weird. Being a human and being alive is weird.
Mark Landry's comment's really funny. Hey, you know what?
But if it's talking about modern co-stars, then that's not cool.
Jimmy Stewart had bum fights in his basement. I don't know about that. He was in It's a Wonderful Life. You can't do that.
Jimmy Stewart had bum fights.
There's no way.
Are we talking about like two people pulling their ass cheeks out and rubbing it together and going bum fight, bum fight? Or are we talking about like getting homeless people in
probably the second one. What the hell? Hey, so things about movies. Other than alleged
I want to talk
homeless
about
fighting.
Jimmy Stewart.
There's no way.
Unhoused people's fights. Or did he get unhoused people and have them take their pants out and rub butt cheeks together and be like, bum fight, bum fight? That's layers.
There would be so many mites in his basement. There's just no chance. Hey, so anyhow, talking about movies, muscle dudes in movies.
Okay.
Masters of the Universe, the
here we
movie,
go, yeah.
the new live action take
That
on Masters of the Universe. There was an interview recently with Nicholas Galitzine. I think that maybe yeah, that's how you say his last name. The dude that's playing He-Man, Adam of Eternia here, and he talked about how the movie is going to be much different from the cartoon that everyone knows and loves and enjoys and the property they grew up with. That enough is enough, I suppose. I hate when things are changed for the sake of changing them. People are now finding out that lots of people like anime. When talking about things we bullied out of people, when
Mark
I was
Landry on
growing
YouTube, he referencing this comment. Mark Landry on YouTube just a moment ago said, "Remember the time we all homophobically bullied rollerblading out of the mainstream in the '90s? Were a hoot."
Yeah,
I mean, we did. We as a society did that.
Things that we told people were not okay.
When
I was growing
all told everybody that D&D wasn't cool, and they just launched a Stern just announced a D&D pinball, which I pre-ordered by the way, and
based on the movie or the game or
just the game, like the lore of the game, and all of the people in a lot of the people in the pinball community, which are like very old graying like white dudes that have $10,000 to drop on toys, are like, only nerds play D&D. And it's like, where have you been the last 10 years? Because times have changed, man.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Netflix. But he said that the Masters of the Universe movie will be very different from the He-Man and Masters of the Universe as it is meant to be.
Well, even Kevin Smith changed it just enough to make it fresh, but kept a lot of the stuff.
So that's what he said. He's like, I know that there's new takes on it, like the Kevin Smith version,
which I thought was fine,
where it's not as campy. And he said there will be no camp. It's going to be serious.
How do you make Eternia without camp?
Yeah.
I'm just a guy named Fisto with fists for hands. I'm a guy named Claptrap with claws for hands. I'm a guy named Neckzar with neck for neck.
Yeah. So anyhow, the camp is going to be removed. He said it's going to have its own tone. They are treating the script as Bible, whatever that is going to end up being. And then he went on.
Mean?
Yeah, exactly. He went on to say, he goes, it's really cool that Masters of the Universe means so much to people, like the people that watch the show. He just straight up said, he's like, I've never watched this bullshit before. My agent got me a job because I look like this.
Yeah.
He's like, it's cool that people like it, but this is going to be its own thing and totally different. They're throwing some nostalgia in there so that people who like Masters of the Universe will be like, oh, that must be for me. I hate this. So
why even attempt it? That's what I don't understand. Why not just create something else? And why not just create something new? Unless they know that pissing off the original fan base is going to put it into the zeitgeist to where people are going to go put eyes on it. And I think that's the plan. It's a calculated plan. They go, we're going to make a whole bunch of people mad. It's going to be all over the internet without us even having to do a thing. Therefore, younger people are going to put their eyes on it and go, maybe this is for us. And, it's built-in advertising by pissing off another group of people. But the end result is it's going to suck and be forgotten.
Yeah. And I wish that trend would go away in movies.
And everything.
Speaking of things that might suck and be forgotten, more Star Trek here set in maybe non-canon universes.
Oh, boy.
The Section 30...
It's got a spaceship in it. It's Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly. So the Section 31 movie is due to come out anytime. But one of the actors here, he was talking to SFX magazine, right?
Okay.
Or he had an interview in SFX magazine, and he said that he's really scared of what's going to happen.
On a Star Trek kick, but also going back to the Dungeons and Dragons pinball machine that I pre-ordered.
Star Trek tabletop, yeah.
Hang on a second. The main voice of the red dragon head that you fight in the pinball machine that moves and like watches you and calls and talks shit to you, Michael Dorn.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Dorn. What a great voice.
Yeah, dude.
So
the Red Dragon is Worf.
Speaking
for those
of
of you that don't know who Michael Dorn is.
How can you not know who Michael Dorn is? He was the president in Heroes.
Yes, he was.
I never watched any of Heroes, but I was at my friend's house one time when that episode was on. He's like, yeah, I'm going to finish this episode of Heroes. Here, just wait with me. And then it showed the dude in the limo, and it goes, and it's Michael Dorn. I was like, Michael Dorn's the president! And that's when the world found out, but I found out at the same time. It was the only Heroes I ever watched.
Do you have your anti-glare lenses on?
Yeah, these are
I can tell.
AR, yeah.
Look at those.
Brand new prescription.
Look, if you look up a little bit. Yeah, you see how it's blue
Purple.
and
Yep.
purple? Yeah.
Blue light protection.
All right, there you go. They
so-
work.
Yeah, they really do. So anyhow, one of the main actors in the Section 31 movie said he is terrified that no one is going to accept it because he's well aware that this is not the Star Trek people want. It is not the Star Trek people ask for.
Then why?
Because Paramount wants it. So
Who was in charge here?
yeah, this dude that's in this movie. He goes, I'm well aware of the Star Trek that people want. People want 1,000 more episodes of TNG, and this is so far away from what
They want
TNG
1,000
is.
more episodes of TNG, 500 more episodes of Deep Space Nine, and about 250 more episodes of Voyager. Like, that's what we want.
Oh yeah, and give me a proper ending to Enterprise, damn it.
Yeah.
Give me the good tracks.
Well, where did that long road end up?
It's been a long road, dude. That song grows on you. It gets good after a bit. So anyhow,
Except for the fact that it's there to here, not here to there. Like, who says there to here?
dude, that's how warp
Traveling
travel.
from, how do you start from there? How do you start from there? That's
Warp.
no, but that's
Warp
the problem.
travel. It folds space.
When you
and-
go from there to here, you gotta be, you start it here.
Well, so here's the thing. Star Trek started further in the future, and then it comes back to the beginning. So that's there to here. It's the timeline of the Trek. It's perfect. It's the best.
okay.
Beelzebub
all right,
Ding
I'll
Dong
take
said,
that.
"No, Voyager had enough." No, the last season was rushed. It could have had more. Voyager is very underrated, and people hate it because
Velvet
it's
Santa
different.
says he wants more Tuvix.
No, no. He was killed for a reason. Janeway made the good choice because his head was like this big, and they just didn't have enough ship to accommodate Tuvix.
You know the best episode of oh gosh, the Orville was when they made fun of the Tuvix episode, and oh man, it's just.
But yeah, so he there's apparently people involved in this that are not expecting it to do well because with Disco being made non-canon officially by Paramount through Lower Decks and the world hating it anyhow, they just kept it going because they were like, we're not going to let you win, but then everyone won because Disco sucks.
Discovery, not disco music.
Yeah,
Disco music rules.
Star Trek Discovery, and them being like, but you guys like Strange New Worlds. It turns out it has nothing to do with Star Trek Disco. Like it's completely different. It's its own timeline branch, and Discovery never happened. I'm sure that this is going to be just another one of those things. Also,
You got one more
you know what?
story. One more news.
One more news.
Because we got to do new releases.
I got several more news. You said something about Wild Robot earlier. It's getting its official streaming release, not to buy or download, but to watch and stream. It's going to be on Peacock starting on the 24th of this month.
Got it.
You are also getting 3 more Fear Street movies. R.L. Stein said that there's 3
Another
more
trilogy?
Fear Streets in the work, possibly.
Hell
Pushpa 2 became the second highest grossing Indian film ever. So all these Indian films keep on taking over. Speaking of Indian films, the Madak Supernatural Universe, which is what Stree and Stree 2 are part of. Stree 2 was also a very successful horror Indian movie here recently. It has 4 movies right now: Stree, Bedia, Munja, and Stree 2 from 2018, but it is now picking up. They have 8 more movies announced. They're doing the Marvel thing.
Yeah.
And that's going to go throughout
Streeching it out.
October, nice, of 2028. And then WB's been putting a lot of free movies up on their YouTube. So when you're done watching us, you can go to WB's channel and watch some cool free movies. And then last bit here looks like Nosferatu. You're going to get an extended edition.
Booyakasha, let's go.
So when the Blu-ray is released, there will be an extended edition that has shots from like the trailer that were not
Will it
included
come in
the
a
movie.
coffin?
No, but you could stick it in there.
I might.
But yeah, man.
As long as it's got Nickelodeon Gak in there.
Yep. Carl, that was my foreign film segment. Rush through. Peacock has good movies. Yeah, sometimes a movie, Albert. That's true. But you're going to get on your Blu-ray an extended version of Nosferatu because people want to see more of it.
Yeah, because it's good.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about new releases because it is a new week. Loving seeing people in our comment section there, like Zimmerhammer over on Twitch, saying that they love Nosferatu. A lot of people are like, oh my God, the mustache. We covered that.
Yeah, man, he looks like where he's from. Leave it alone.
Yeah, leave it alone. Just accept that you don't understand gothic horror and get over it.
Why are you not more bothered by the boils and sores and the zombie skin than you are by the fact that he has a mustache?
Come on, dude. All right, well, here we go. Coming out in theaters this weekend, not a whole lot of huge releases. There's 2 that are probably going to get I would say one that's going to get a nationwide release, one that's going to get a limited release, and a couple I'm not even going to mention. But the one that's going to get the nationwide release is Den of Thieves 2. How did this movie get a sequel? Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson.
That movie ended very well, and I wish this didn't exist, but maybe I'll watch it.
Big Nick, he's back, dude.
And this time he's going to join up.
Well, this time he's back on the hunt in Europe, and he's closing in on Donnie, who is embroiled in the treacherous world of diamond thieves and the infamous Panther Mafia.
Yeah.
As they plot a massive heist of the world's largest diamond exchange.
But the whole thing is that in the trailers and stuff, it's that Gerard Butler is joining forces with the bad guys now.
With Donnie.
He's like, being a cop don't pay no more.
But diamonds do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Den of Thieves 2.
Yeah, Zimmerhammer. The ending of Den of Thieves 1 is good. It wraps it up. It's a good ending to a movie. That movie did not need a sequel.
No, but it absolutely didn't. It did not need a sequel.
Maybe it'll be like John Wick, and then part 2 is just so damn good as well.
Yeah, we'll see. Also coming out in theaters this week, and it's probably only going to hit a probably limited release, but it does look really interesting. It's called The Last Showgirl, and it's starring Pamela Anderson, and it's directed by Gia Coppola. It's got Pamela Anderson, it's got Dave Bautista, it's got Kiernan Shipka, it's got Jamie Lee Curtis. This movie, Jason Schwartzman is in this as a cameo role, but Pamela Anderson plays a seasoned showgirl in Las Vegas who's having to plan for her future when the show abruptly closes after a 30-year run. And if you look at the poster for this, there's lots of olive branches, lots of accolades. And this is something I was talking about in the pre-show. You know, we're seeing a lot of actresses like Nicole Kidman and Demi Moore and now Pamela Anderson taking on these roles where the theme of the movie is, you know, and I find these roles to be very, very extremely entertaining because, you know, so much of if you watch the Golden Globes acceptance speech from Demi Moore, she said, you know, I've been in this business for over 40 years. And for most of my career, I was told that I was just a popcorn actress. And, you know, that I'd never actually be recognized for these roles. And then a lot of their career was based on how they looked. And now that they're aging, they're taking on these roles that are kind of about what it's like to age in the industry. But then they're giving these unbelievable performances, which proves that we're wrong about this industry and that these people have monstrous amounts of talent. And the trailer of this looks really, really cool. I just watching the trailer, I really, really, really want to see just Jamie Lee Curtis, because Jamie Lee Curtis is amazing, number one. But it just looks like a really powerful, interesting movie. So Last Showgirl, and it's only an hour and a half runtime, which I think is a great.
That's a good movie runtime.
What happened to the old hour and a half runtime? So yeah, there we go. That's coming out this week, and that's pretty much it for this week. Not a huge release because, it's January. People are not, February is when we're going to start seeing some more movies come back around that Valentine's weekend when everybody wants to see new stuff.
Well, sorry. Normally you got big Christmas releases and stuff too. So
that are still
I'm sure
got to get that screen time.
Yeah, they were trying to give breathing room for Christmas movies. But I think everyone just...
Because the new Captain America comes out in February. That's the next boom movie that everybody's like, oh my God, new Captain America, Harrison Ford's a Hulk. He's a Hulk guy. Oh my gosh, Harrison Ford.
Is the Marvel audience still there enough to support?
I don't know, man.
I don't feel like it is.
I've
I've never heard anyone talk about Winter Soldier Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show. No one's ever been like, oh, dude, I was watching Disney Plus the other day. Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Did you catch it? I think the only reason that people are excited about this movie is because Harrison Ford is Red Hulk.
Yeah, but no one will be better Thunderbolt Ross than Sam Elliott.
True.
Harrison Ford is surly, but he's not
He's not Sam Elliott.
He's not scary like Ross.
He's just grumpy.
Thunderbolt Ross should be. Yeah, it's always ever since it was Sam Elliott, he was Thunderbolt Ross, and then after that you have General Ross. You got General Ross. He's fine, but.
Well, all right. Well, that is what's coming out in theaters this weekend. Let's jump into talking about what came out in theaters last weekend or what we watched on VOD. So,
well, because I didn't have the opportunity, and now it was there. It was available to me.
Well, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to jump in and then?
Yeah, I can get through it pretty quick. It's a story that's been around for.
Yeah, we've heard of the Odyssey, right?
Nearly 3,000 years. Yeah, man. The return. It is the story of Odysseus's return to Ithaca after 10 years at war and 10 years of being at sea. However, in this movie, there is no mention of any kind of Greek religion or gods or monsters or anything mythical at all. Odysseus doesn't talk about struggling against Poseidon or being cursed by Athena. Or any of these things that lead to the moments that this movie does. This is all just a very human perspective on a larger than life story of Odysseus and his return after the Odyssey to his kingdom to reclaim his kingdom from the people that have taken it over in his 20-year absence. And that they're all trying to be suitors to his wife so that each of them has control of his kingdom.
Mm-hmm. Trying to get his stuff.
Right. And so, it starts out with Ray finds naked on the shore, washed up. He's been in a boat wreck. And he's
crusty,
haggard, bruised, crusty.
He already told those sirens
man.
to fuck off. Yeah. Tie me to the pole. Let's get home, dude.
And so he's
poked a Cyclops.
It's his journey from being near death on the shore to meeting and conversing with the people of his land, learning what's been happening, and then ultimately reclaiming his throne. Other than the first 10 minutes where you see Ray Fiennes hang dong real hard, followed shortly by male rape to death After that, the movie gets really good. So it opens up with some disturbing things.
Okay,
to set the
let's
tone.
go.
But from there, it's a very good story. They do the story of that portion of Return very well. Whoever did the makeup for Ralph Fiennes should get some accolades, because his like bruises and scars and cuts and everything, and the consistency of them, and they all look real. Like they're like, all right, Ralph, we're gonna film this scene, and he's like, beat the hell out of me, and like,
Just give it to me.
It's done very well, and most of the characters in the movie are done very well too, and the villains. When they're ultimately killed by Odysseus at the end, and then they become nothing. So people that have so much screen time and so much build up, and in the end they're slaughtered and they're nothing. They don't mean anything.
Dust in the wind, dude.
It's very good. I told you guys I was super hyped about it because I always liked mythology and Greek mythology and reading those stories. And this does a good job of it, despite the fact that it doesn't bring any of the mythological parts to it. But it's an interesting way to go about it, and it does everything justice, I think. You get to see his return, and you get to see Argos recognize him. You get to see, as the people of his land that knew him and really loved their king, come to realize that is who he is and the struggle he has of reclaiming his family. But it's a very good movie. It's slow paced, but it's done very well. The only thing that's missing from the entire thing is that he's unveiled as Odysseus. There's not like a curse on him. Like I said, it's like like a human perspective. It's just that he's been gone for 20 years.
Nobody recognizes him.
And he's battle worn and scarred and beaten. And even his wife, who's held on.
I can't recognize that dog.
held on for 20 years, doesn't know who he is until he ultimately proves himself
by shooting that arrow,
stringing the bow and shooting the arrow and everything like that. So, in the end, it's very good. I recommend it.
Right on.
If you like mythology, it's there. It's the story is all there except for the mythos portion, and that probably does it some favors for some people. It's not like watching Hercules or Xena.
Right.
It's watching like a historical period film, and it's done very well, and I really liked it.
And one more time, where did you catch it on streaming?
Amazon. Yeah, you can. It's like $10 to rent or $15 to buy. It's probably available for other VOD services, but I was able to catch it on Prime since we unfortunately did not have it in the theater. It would have been a good movie in the theater, I think.
Yeah, it looked like it would have been a really fun theater movie.
There's a couple of CG moments, and they're not like fantastic, but it's really not the kind of movie you're going to for that. It's mainly the on-screen portrayals of the people. It's done very well. I liked it.
All right, on. Well, next up is the movie that I caught this week, which is brand new, just came out this weekend in theaters. It's called Baby Girl. We mentioned it coming out last week. It is written and directed by Halina Reijn. It is starring Nicole Kidman and Harris Dickinson. Also supporting roles by Antonio Banderas, who plays Nicole Kidman's husband in this movie. And this movie is... it's a lot. It was really interesting going into this movie because, Nicole Kidman, we as AMC moviegoers, you get so used to seeing Nicole Kidman like pop up on screen and go, "In here, heartbreak feels good, but it's like this. When you hear magic, because
recently they have
they've been
last year,
chopping them up,
shortened it.
Yeah. But you're
and
getting like three different
versions.
flavors. Three different flavors. But this movie, it didn't have that at the beginning, and I was like, wait a minute, where's Nicole Kidman? Tell me about like magic.
They don't have her at the beginning of her own movie.
Well, for good reason, because having her come walk into AMC theaters and sit down and tell me about like when you hear it's magic, and then the first scene is her like laying on the floor like watching porn, masturbating. You're like, okay.
So instead of heartbreak, she's like, hard dicks feel good in a place like this.
Yes.
Yep.
But when you, as Al Topich on Twitch just said, it had a lot more depth than he was expecting, and that is correct. I was in a theater, and in the entire row in front front of me was sorority girls. And so I'm guessing they were all aged like 20, maybe 21, maybe, right?
Isn't this an A24 movie too?
It is an A24 movie.
I think it's like their highest grossing movie.
And I think that a lot of these girls went in thinking that they're going to get like a 50 Shades of Grey sort of movie where it's going to be like sexy, and it is and it's not. This movie explores sexuality in a way on screen that I have not really seen in a long time, which was kind of refreshing and interesting. It kind of explores fetishism and power dynamics and in a way that is very like realistic and not always sexy. There's like consequences involved, and where other people are looking at like what you're into, or the demons that you think that you're facing, or these things that you're ashamed of, because sometimes a lot of people's sexual preferences or fantasies are accompanied with shame of like being able to find and what they're into and you know, how to express themselves. And this movie just tackles all that shit like right in the face. And you know, the row of girls in front of me were extremely uncomfortable during this. They're like, wait a minute. And they're like laughing, and they're like, oh my God, what am I watching? And like, you know, number one, you're watching Nicole Kidman like completely naked, which, you know, I think for a younger audience, seeing old people naked is like, you get used to seeing people on screen that are always like, yeah, look at this sexy butt, or look at this body double's tits, and, you know, look at this abs that are just like perfectly V'd. This is not that movie. And you had a.
I was about to say, it's not like the first weird movie. Eyes Wide Shut is a thing.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
And as Movie Albert points out, Harris Dickinson was in Triangle of Sadness. Harris Dickinson plays the sort of daddy role, and he is the younger by a long shot. So if you guys haven't seen the trailer, basically high-powered CEO played by Nicole Kidman. She's the CEO of a tech company, has this sort of dark secret that she carries, and she explores this with Harris Dickinson, who is this young intern into her company. And obviously inappropriate for multiple reasons, because, you know, he is significantly younger, but also an employee and an intern at the company that she's the CEO of. However, it turns a lot of these dynamics that you immediately think like, gross, shame, why would ew. But then it turns it into a like, well, let's strip that part out and like, let's look at the human element between these two people. Like, what are these two consenting adults doing in this situation, right? You know, and where does consent stop and power take over, which I thought was kind of a really interesting theme to explore, because there is a level where power supersedes consent, where it's like, how can you give consent so much where you have no power to do so, and then invert that, where that person that should be in power no longer has power because they have given up their power to someone who has power over them sexually, right? And it was kind of this wild ride back and forth through some very uncomfortable scenes and some very interesting storytelling. I thought that this movie was kind of really accomplished what I didn't think it was going to do. I thought that this movie was just going to be like, oh yeah, that's like, see a woman just like having sex with this hot young stud. You know, that's kind of what like some of the trailers made it out to be. But it was a lot more complex than that. And particularly towards the end, where, you know, no spoiler, I'm going to give a little bit of spoiler alerts, but at the end of the movie, there was a handful of sort of epilogue-esque scenes where obviously Antonio Banderas, her husband, finds out about this. There's a whole chaotic like part where her family starts to fall apart, and but then there's this sort of like way out. Like it didn't wrap it up with a pretty bow, but it did sort of give this hopefulness of like, this woman now understands a lot more about herself and her needs and what she likes and, you know, what she wants, and she's not afraid of it anymore, and she's not going to let it control her in the way that it once did. And you know, same goes for the Harris Dickinson character. They kind of put a bow on the end of his story as well. And it doesn't leave with like everything worked out in the end, but it did leave a sort of like, well, you know, these people they learned from this, and it wasn't just this oopsie daisy mistake that we watched on screen. It was this life-altering, like, fork in a road that was about self-discovery.
It doesn't have the and then Andy Dufresne left me a box that I dug up.
It doesn't have that one.
Okay.
But you know, I have to give it to Nicole Kidman. You know, Harris Dickinson, like, I haven't watched enough performances for him to really kind of get a baseline of how well he performed in this. Like, he was definitely a douche in this. As Mark Landry on YouTube just said, so she learned a lot about living and a little about love. Well, her company was actually called Chattahoochee Electronics.
Was her building like
The
on
Chattahoochee
the river
building.
Chattahoochee? Yeah.
But, you know, Antonio Banderas was interesting to watch because he was kind of, you know, normally he's a very powerful character on screen in most of his roles. He was not that in this, which was really interesting to watch. And Nicole Kidman, you know, watching her go from powerful CEO to a person who's like literally manic, you know, wrapped around this guy's finger. And then when it all flips and, you know, then the power dynamics shift. It's all about power and control and giving that power and taking that power and, you know, and the sexuality wrapped around that. And so it's a very interesting movie. And it reminded me of a movie that I watched in the 90s that was a little bit more straightforward and a more comedic, but still thematically interesting, and it was The Secretary. And I don't know if you guys, I think it was. I'm gonna pull this one up. It's a movie I haven't thought about in a long time. Was it? No. Secretary. Yeah, 2002. I thought that was in the 90s. It's just called Secretary, and it's a James Spader and Maggie Gyllenhaal. And it was, and Jeremy Davies is in that one too. I forgot about that. And Patrick Beauchot. Dang. But again, another movie that explores power dynamics between a timid young woman working for this lawyer and finds a kind of way to, they both, you know, you want to villainize one or the other, but then you find that they're both consenting adults in this situation. They're both getting something out of this dynamic, and like, who are we to argue with that, right? And the Secretary is a comedy for sure.
Is it? Because I just saw something on the screen. I never needed to see James Spader going around spanking anybody. That's going to haunt me. He's a villain. That's not a comedy.
But it
terrifying.
You haven't seen the movie. It's one of those movies where by the
his
end
voice
of it,
and how creepy he is and like everything, because he's always like,
he's really good for that role. So, yeah, Mark Landry on YouTube says, I definitely watched Secretary rented from Hastings. Yeah, that's definitely a movie that you would rent from Hastings for sure.
yeah.
Anyway, Baby Girl, and it's all one word. Baby/Girl is a totally different movie, but Baby Girl, all one word, is in theaters right now, and it's pretty good. It's kind of an uncomfortable. Don't take your mom to see it. Night Owl, she says it's not a comedy. It's billed as a comedy, and there are laughable moments, but there are. So the directors. Their intention was it's a dark
the Greek comedy.
It's a dark romantic comedy, because yes, there are comedic elements that lighten the tone of the movie, but overall it's definitely more poignant at that. But that's the hallmark of a lot of dark comedies is, you know, like, how can you laugh at someone getting murdered? And it's like, well, you know, wait till the end part. No one gets murdered in Secretary, but anyway, yeah. Movies were just different back then, from the 90s into the early 2000s. So
James Spader had hair back then.
James Spader did have hair back then. All right. Well, anyway, we're out of time for movie reviews. Those movies are movies you can check out. Both of them, I think, we recommended. So
the return's pretty good. Definitely.
But now it's time for the box office roundup, the last segment of the show. Jake's going to guide you through the top 10 movies, or top 11 movies, actually top 13 movies. How about that? Because there's two new releases that we talked about, or one new release we talked about, one reissue that I had no idea was in theaters.
Yeah.
But we'll do the top 13 movies in the United States. These are domestic totals. If you follow the money, you can learn a lot about the Hollywood business. So number 13, here we go.
Yeah, number 13, The Damned, opened up to $769,000.
We talked about this one because it looked cool, like Icelandic horror winter village.
Yep. It's only in 730 theaters, so not a lot going on there. And then in even less theaters, 200, the anniversary re-release of Seven, which is something I was going to talk about in the news earlier.
But the theater average was high. On
Yeah.
this.
Seven brought in $915,000 for only being in 200 theaters. The director, crap, I can't remember his name right now. He was in an interview and he said that he was able to finally fix a 30-year-old mistake using AI technology. So that is coming into our movies, changing them
He goes,
forever.
"What's in the box?" Ahead.
No, he said there was a janky camera transition that he used AI to smooth. And that's also going to be on its 4K release that's accompanying this anniversary edition. But yeah, Seven brought in almost $1 million in 200 theaters. Pretty good.
What's in the box office? What's in the box office?
And just to show you how little was happening at the theater, at number 11, staying at number 11, Kraven the Hunter brought in just over $1 million. 4 weeks out, brought in $23.6 million. Sony has got another 35 worldwide. Under $60 million in a month for a Marvel movie. How about that?
Sony Marvel.
And then hanging tough at number 10, The Fire Inside, in its second week, 1.1 million brought in for it, 7 million total in its 2-week run so far. At number 9 and staying at number 9, Homestead, $2 million brought in by that one. In its third week from Angel Studios, it's grossed $17.3 million. Number 8, also no change here, Gladiator 2 in its 7th week, 2.6 million in the U.S., bringing it up to 168.8, another 280 million across the globe. 450 million so
Interesting
far.
to see a lot of these movies like doing really well in the international box office. When traditionally it was like, oh, the U.S. box office always number one, and then
Yeah. Well, and I think it's that those audiences may have not been overexposed to things like that like we have. You know, they probably didn't have Gladiator stuck in your face for the last 20 years. And then all of its things trying to come in and be Gladiator also piggyback on that success. This might be an introduction to it, or they may have only had Gladiator and now they have this, and it wasn't just always in their face with everything. So who knows? And then also keeping its spot at number 7, the one you just talked about, Baby Girl, in its third week out,
Yeah.
probably not its
yeah,
full
it was
week.
full week, yeah.
4.4 million brought in by that one, 16.1 so far. It actually gained 49 theaters, so it's at 20.
It's still in
100.
just around 2100.
Yeah, but it's A24 theater, and I'm pretty sure I read that it's one of their most successful movies at the point that it's at.
Yeah,
right.
initial release.
And then staying at number 6, A Complete Unknown in its second week out, $8.1 million, just under 42 million total for Timothy Chalamet doing his Bob Dylan there. And then not a lot of changes here, but dropping from number 4 to number 5, Wicked, 7 weeks out. It brought in almost $10 million this past week, bringing it to 450.5 in the U.S., another 230 elsewhere, $680 million. I started reading that it's claiming that it's like the best Broadway turned theatrical musical ever and all this stuff. No, it's not. People are forgetting some things. Again, Grease, it's never going to conquer it. It has a long way
And
to
I'm
go
actually
still.
surprised that it hasn't been doing as well in the international markets than
Again, I
yeah.
think it's maybe language barrier. The songs might not translate as well. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe the story, because Wizard of Oz is important to U.S. audiences, but probably doesn't mean anything to a lot
they
of
didn't have a
international. Yeah.
Dust Bowl.
And then going from number 5 to number 4, Moana 2, 12.4 million brought in by that one. 6 weeks out from Disney's brought in $425 million in the U.S., another 535 elsewhere, $961 million.
So close to $1 billion.
It's getting there. And then staying at number 3, Nosferatu, $13 million in its second week, bringing it up to 69.3. in the U.S., another 31 elsewhere. So it's grossed $100 million.
Not bad.
Good job, Nosferatu. And then losing the top spot, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, $21.4 million in its third week. It has 187.6. Another 149 million across the globe, so 336.5 so far. And then swapping spots with Sonic is Mufasa, the Lion King. 23.4 million in it. Its third week out, 168.2 so far here in the U.S. Another 308 million globally. It's brought in $476 million for a movie that did not look like it was going to have any success when it first started.
Having a holiday break, bored kids, and people going, well, I guess
Lack of
Lion King.
options. Yeah.
Lack of options for sure. We've already seen Sonic. Let's take them. Let's take them to see the Disney.
Maybe
one.
that's what it is. They're like, that's the switcheroo they keep doing, is that people that watched Mufasa are going to watch Sonic, and people that watch Sonic are going to watch Mufasa.
Yep. Well, all right, guys. Well, that is our box office, and that's our show. So, we'll do that in the after show. But thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe on any of the social medias that you love. Facebook Live, Twitch Live, YouTube Live. We do say that Twitch is going to be the place where you can get some bonus content. Like just now, we're going to stick around after the show on Twitch and open some gifts from one of our viewers. Or you can get in that pre-show 30 minutes early. But if you just don't want to watch any of this video, you can download the podcast version of this wherever it is you download podcasts. Just search for the Drive-In Speaker Box Podcast, or tell your smart speaker to play the Drive-In Speaker Box Podcast. Just make sure you say podcast. And with that saying, I guess, yeah, we're just gonna drop it over to Twitch, huh?
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.
See ya.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.
Okay. That was just for the recording. We got to do these things for the recording, for the podcast. So Facebook is offline. YouTube's still going. I didn't want to leave Mark out. It looks like we got a handful of viewers on YouTube. I didn't want to leave you out. We're giving you just a little taste of the Twitch bonus content to maybe entice you guys to come over to the Twitch. But yeah. So what happened is one of our viewers on Twitch, Velvet Santa, he was in town, cruising through town, and dropped off a goodie box of goodies, and we have six weeks of presents, and they're all labeled. They're all labeled. This is B1. You have J1. The amount of effort put into this is just remarkable. But we will, each week we're going to open one of these and see what they are.
Not to mention,
I know this is a VHS. Like we know these are all VHSs.
Yeah, not to mention our super cool
T-shirts,
Hurricane Heist shirts.
I still have right here.
Oh, really? Dude, I took my home and I had full plans on wearing it today, but I knew it was going to be cold. I couldn't have it on full display. Yeah. But yeah, I've talked to him about it, man. The last week I really have everyone who will listen. I'm like, dude, you got to check this out, and they're like, show yourselves. I'm like, you don't get it.
Yeah, you don't get it. Show yourselves. All right, so let's get in here. Man, this is taped a little heftier than last year. All right. Oh fuck yeah, dude.
I think I mentioned I recently came across my VCR, so
Jake can't see mine yet. What'd you get? All right,
I can't see yours yet.
1, 2, 3, boom,
bam.
Yeah, you got Grease
dude.
too, and mine is far superior here. Got the freaking Crow on VHS. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
This is going to be something that I'm going to have to take over to the next family gathering that I have. So the first time I watched Grease 2, it was like my aunt's birthday or a big, it was like Thanksgiving or Christmas or something. Somebody got my aunt this. It was either her birthday or Christmas. sorry, somebody
Got the
got her
coughs, man.
her this because she was like, this is one of her favorite movies. We put it in and we watched it, and I was like, this movie is rad. Because
Grease 2? You sure they weren't talking about The Crow?
No, man, it flips roles because now the guy's Australian and he's kind of like, he's like a cool dude, but he's like a geek at the same time. So he makes money by doing everyone's
Who the
homework
hell
for
is
him.
Maxwell Caulfield?
He's the dude that does homework for people and makes money to buy a motorcycle. And then he's like Zorro on a motorcycle because he puts on a
Does he
mask.
sword fight people?
He's like American Kamen Rider in the 50s. And he sings and he bangs Catwoman.
Well, The Crow
And Shooter
is
McGavin's
one
in
of the
this.
greatest movies ever, and I recommended this. I dressed up as The Crow this Halloween. That was a phenomenal costume that I did because I finally have the hair for it. But one of my friends, who's like a makeup artist, did my makeup for this costume, and they'd never seen The Crow. And I'm like, while we're doing the makeup, I put
Did you
on.
show him a picture of Sting?
No, I showed him a picture of the fucking Crow because the Sting copied the Crow. But I put on the soundtrack, which is amazing to this movie, by the way. And we're listening to the whole soundtrack while he's doing my makeup. And they're like, this soundtrack's actually really good. And I go, yes, I know. So is the movie. And then a couple of days later, he and his partner, they decided to watch The Crow. And then they messaged me and were like, God damn, that movie was good. And they were really into it. And it's, how many years later you get to like share a movie with somebody and they love it. And that's just a good feeling. So
Well, then maybe I can inspire people here to watch Grease 2.
2.
It's a fun movie.
Electric Boogaloo.
No.
They're shutting down the drainage alley in L.A. where we all race cars. We gotta go sweep it up.
No,
And
man, he
so the
uses his
mayor
money to build a cool motorcycle, and he does all these jumps, and he's like Zorro because he comes in and he like rescues people, and he's like the hero. So by day he's a nerd, and by like nighttime he's like
also a nerd.
hot boy masked rider, and he gets like
So it's basically the Wraith.
he gets to pump Michelle Pfeiffer. And just be the coolest dude in town, but no one knows it until the end where he crashes their party and he's like, screw you guys.
Well, heck yeah. Well, all right. Thank you, Velvet Santa. We appreciate the gifts. Looking forward to next week's goodies in the goodie box. I like you got this for $1. It was like a dollar sticker on it. What a bargain. All right, guys. Well, that's it. We're gonna jump off here. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and do all those things. Tell your friends because we don't promote this show enough. We leave that up to you. We keep making good quality content for you guys, and we'll leave it up to you to drive people to the stream. So 50 cents, heck yeah, 50. Later, After a While, Crocodile. Thanks for the cheer, Night Ashley, Tony Jones. Peace out, Merle. Stay warm, guys. We will see you guys next week.
See ya.